here we are. Welcome into the Dirty Pocket with myself, Stacey Bauman, and my cohort, and definitely the personality on the show, the Scout, Daniel Kelly.
No, you're the one with the personality. Hey, hi. Yeah, it's you. Yeah.
No, I just keep us from going too far off the rails, man. And that
I need that.
How you doing, man?
Hey, I'm definitely doing. By the way, I'm not going to talk about Washington tonight, but in honor of the show, I wore my Taylor Heineke jersey because you know why? Because he's still the best quarterback in Washington. Sorry, Washington Commanders fans. Sam Howell's a bust.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting a call. Oh, it's a three-way call. Carson Wentz and Sam Howell. You want to say what? Oh.
Hey, I tell you what, back in October, I wrote an article for SI Lions putting a 5th to 7th round grade on Sam Howell, and guess where he was taken, folks? In the 5th round. And I said that he's going to bust. This guy is a run-first quarterback who runs a 5.07 40. Good luck in the National Football League, Sam Howell. And not only that, but he's got a low energy level. Nothing that you would want leading an NFL offense anywhere, anytime soon. I mean, it's just an awful pick. I mean, the cream rises to the top. I mean, they've been trying to replace Heineke for 2 years. They're not going to do it.
It's really wild, man. The Washington Commanders, and folks, by the way, welcome into the 2022 post-NFL draft grade show with the Scout, Daniel Kelly, and myself, Stacey Bauman. It's really weird. The Commanders just seem like they really dig collecting backup quarterbacks. I feel bad for Terry McLaurin, Antonio Gibson, the kid Dotson they got from Penn State, which I actually thought was a good draft. We'll talk about that. But before we even get started with tradition, what are we drinking tonight? It's Fanta. You just did the Chris Collinsworth slide shuffle with the Fanta.
Yes, I did. You're getting very sleepy. You're looking at the Fanta.
I already am sleepy, so don't do that.
Okay, sorry. Everything we say on this show, you will believe.
Yeah. Well, they should.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's. Should I do my little promo?
Yeah, please do your promo. It's tradition now. It's tradition.
I tell you what. Okay, here we go. Okay. Fanta, the official drink of the Dirty Pocket. When your team didn't draft well and it's leaving you thirsty, grab a Fanta out of your fridge.
That's going to be several teams by my account. So Fanta stock.
Let me tell you about Keith Jackson.
Oh my God, Fanta stock just went up. So here we are. And before we get started on our 2022 NFL draft show, where we talk grades, we talk picks we love, picks we hated, teams that we think did great, teams that we think showed exactly why they are what they are. Before we do that, I feel like I want to ask for a quick moment of silence, as I know that you have been very sad the last 24 hours or so, as your favorite quarterback in San Francisco, Mr. Trey Lance, who you believe is on his way to the Hall of Fame, has blocked you on Twitter. And I feel let's just bring it down. I'm very sad about this. I know you are too. Wait, I'm getting a call from Jimmy Garoppolo. Wait, you're still on the team, Jimmy? Okay, yeah. Trey blocked. Trey blocked the Scout.
Like I predicted. Hey, you know what's funny?
Wow. Blocked by Trey Lance.
Blocked by Trey Lance, absolutely. And I tweeted that out today at Daniel Kelly Book. If you want to go take a look at the snapshot of the blockage there by Trey Lance is not living into the pocket anymore in his pocket. But here's the situation. It looks like I got into his pocket hot coming off the edge because it got his attention. And, several fans have pointed something out that's very interesting from a scouting and evaluation standpoint. They say, is it possible that Trey Lance can't handle any type of critique? Is this Trey Lance showing that he has thin skin as a leader? Not a good sign, because scouting is all about information gathering and looking at characteristics. And this is not a good sign at all for the 49ers fans.
Yeah, it's a bummer. And you know me.
It's a big bummer.
Each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we know each other's friends. Social media is a necessary evil to me. It's not something I like to spend my life doing. but not a good look. I mean, I'm trying to think back to the old days. Some of the quarterbacking greats, would they give a rat's ass what anybody said about them? Many of people did. Dan Marino slipped in the draft. Joe Montana was late in the draft. Of course, Tom Brady wasn't picked until later rounds. I mean, it's probably not a good look for Trey. Can we set the record straight? We don't want to go more than 30 seconds on this.
Okay.
For the people who followed the Scout, Daniel Kelly, and follow his writings at Sports Illustrated Jets, Sports Illustrated Lions, and whatever it takes book, this is not personal for you. You do not hate Trey Lance as a person.
No.
Already, you're just talking about quarterbacking life in the NFL, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is nothing against the 49ers fan base either, really quickly, because I put a UFA grade on Trey Lance before the 49ers ever drafted him. You can check it out at Draft Diamonds. Just type in Daniel Kelly, Trey Lance. It's the first article that comes up. Nothing personal at all. It's so funny you mentioned that, Stace, because so many people out there say, hey, you're hating on Trey Lance. You got to be so negative about Trey Lance. Hey, listen, I'm just writing down what Trey Lance puts on game film. That's it. So if you don't like my reports, take it up with Trey Lance, because he's the one that's putting this football resume out there for me to write down and watch.
Okay, there you go, folks. We're not gonna make this a Trey Lance show, but Mr. Lance, I don't think anybody doesn't wish you the best. I do. Young kid. You see levels of talent, NFL talent. We've got into that. We'll move on from that, but congratulations, you've officially entered rare air, my friend.
I'm in the pocket, baby. I'm coming. I'm coming. Hey, nobody in the world is beyond my reach. Let's just put it that way. Hey, eventually I'm gonna get one of these guys to say something. And
I'm getting a call from Trayvon Walker. Hold on.
Oh, wait. It's Cardonius Tony, the guy who I said had multiple red flags pre-draft last year, and now he was on the trading block. Oh, wait, he's on the line now.
Can't seem to move him. We'll get to the Giants. Really weird. I do want to say before we get started, kudos, respect are due to you, Scout. You were in the mid 80 percentile of accuracy for Sports Illustrated with your draft prognostications, and you hit about 3/4 of the undrafted free agent market, that very critical time when the draft ends and everybody's scrambling for the guys not drafted. That is very impressive numbers. So
thank you.
For those watching and listening, let's tip our hat to the Scout. Again, it's just like the Trey Lance thing. You may not like us. You may think we're ugly. You may not think we smell good, whatever the chance. But, we're just talking football.
Hey, I put a body spray on before I came on the show. Can't you smell it?
Axe body spray on line 2. I mean, okay. So very nice job, by the way, on a serious note. So let's jump into this, man, because you and I were just knee deep on our couches on the other side of the United States from each other. And I, too, am curious about what you think of this 2022 NFL draft. I have to tell you, for me, it felt kind of low energy, which I was surprised. I'm usually really amped up for the draft. The next best thing since anything the world champion Los Angeles Rams do. But I felt like low energy this year. Fanta. Yep, there it is. There it is, folks. It was a little surprised. Vegas, I thought, was just it's kind of right. There's
a very strange venue.
Yeah,
I mean, the NFL's trying to get the gambling ramped up. I mean, let's call a spade a spade. I mean, let's be honest here with what's going on. I mean, all these different venues and platforms are all talking out there about the gambling, and there's all these advertisements and commercials for the gambling, and the Raiders went to Las Vegas. I mean, let's not kid ourselves, folks. The NFL is aiming. They're like, look at the gambling. Quick, look, squirrel. Look at the gambling.
Yeah.
I mean, they want everybody focused on the gambling. I mean, you could even bet on who the first pick was going to be in the NFL draft. I mean, there's a line for everything. Who's going to get fired first? Who's going to do that? I mean, go check it out. I mean, it's who's going to win the Super Bowl. Who's going to do this? I saw on Facebook the other day, some guy is scheduled to win $1 million if the Jets win the Super Bowl. I mean, people are putting a lot of money on all this stuff in Vegas. I mean, it's really, Wow. I mean, if Vegas wasn't seriously enough involved before all this started, now they're really involved.
Yeah, no, there's no question about it. And I actually thought it would be a real high energy, kind of a fireworks type NFL draft. And I thought it was kind of dull. it got weird. The first round I thought was a very borderline weird first round,
It
starting
was
with the first
strange
pick.
if you ask New England Patriots fans.
Yeah. Oh God. And of course you saw the
Ooh.
clip of Sean McVay and Les Snead laughing at it. He had to call Belichick and the kid and go, "I wasn't making fun of you." Yeah.
No
Some
pun
weird
intended.
stuff.
No pun intended. Cole Strange.
Cole Strange, folks. If you didn't see the Patriots' first pick in the draft, Cole Strange.
That was really strange.
So let's jump into this thing, man. Straight on draft analysis with the scout. I tell you, we're going to do this really basic because I think it's going to glean some or garner some great conversation. Who were some teams that you really liked? You thought they did a great job in this draft? I have a couple picked out. Where does it stand from your end? Let's start with the good, and then we'll get into the, maybe it was okay. It was a C, A, B, C, D, F type grades. And then we'll get into the people that I thought were just like missed the boat. Who was somebody you really liked in this draft as a team?
The Tennessee Titans. The Tennessee Titans drafted most in line with who I am as an evaluator, which is very interesting because, of course, Coach Vrabel's there in Tennessee. And, of course, he comes from New England. And, of course, I worked with Belichick at the Jets. So the DNA, the football DNA, if you will, did line up where the Titans, I thought they did a phenomenal job. I think the thing that surprised me the most about this draft, if you go back and look at my first round mock for the Jets, I knew, I even talked about in my mock that I knew that a lot of these guys that I love were not going to go in the political first round of the draft. And that's okay, because I'll buy a couple houses off the guys that, once they start playing, that's cool. And maybe a Ferrari too. But Tennessee to me did a phenomenal job. Let me talk about what they did that I thought was so great. First round, they went with Treylon Burks. What a star player. This is my WR2 in the draft next to Garrett Wilson. This guy, I had the privilege to be able to speak with him pre-draft and interview him for SI Jets. This guy is shades of Randy Moss in a deep ball. He can high point the ball extremely well. He can take that little bubble wide receiver screen, and he can run yakety-yak to yards after the catch. The guy is all over the field. You can motion him anywhere pre-snap. Great pick in the first round. Coming back in the second round, you and I had done our mock draft. We both thought Roger McCreary was going in the first round. Somehow, some way, he slips into the second round. Tennessee Titans grab him. And McCreary is a corner to me that I thought for sure Belichick would take in New England. Oddly enough, again, Vrabel takes him instead. I said McCreary was going to New England, right? That's where I projected him. And instead it's Vrabel in the second round. That's interesting within itself. But he's a corner, like I said, that's wise beyond his years. The third round, Tennessee gets the big offensive tackle who I had mocked in the first round, who I really liked on the Ohio State. Nicholas Petit-Ferrari goes in the third round, which I was very surprised by. And then, of course, the showstopper to me is, in the third round. I couldn't believe it. My eyes just popped out of my mind. But Malik Willis out of Liberty, who I had mocked number 2 overall to Detroit in my mock draft, could not believe that he went down that far to the Tennessee Titans. He is going to make the NFL pay. You're talking about the most dynamic football player in the 2022 NFL draft. And guess what? Here's something interesting for us sports fans. Turn up the volume a little bit. You know what? I think Ryan Tannehill agrees with my evaluation, just like I talked about on my new YouTube channel. Former NFL scout Daniel Kelly's the name of it. Go check it out. But I talked about this. What quarterback do you know that's so threatened by an incoming third rounder that he comes up publicly from a podium the same week and says, "Hey, it's not my job to mentor him. Hey, Ryan Tannehill, you are scared, you are threatened, and you should be. You got the best running quarterback in the NFL since Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick right on your heels, and he is going to start. Listen, Ryan Tannehill talked about, he went through all this, and I'm not making light of people that go through, different, mental issues and stuff and different things. But he talked about, after that playoff loss, he went into a dark place for several weeks. I think the Titans are concerned as an organization about Tannehill to begin with. And I think this pick of Malik Willis proves it. Don't be surprised at all if Malik Willis takes over this team by about the 5th, 6th week of the season. I'm buying a Malik Willis jersey. That's how much I love him.
Wow.
Absolutely. I love Malik. I absolutely love him.
I know you did. You've liked him for months.
Yeah,
this
absolutely.
Is nothing new.
Yeah, I mean, the guy, Michael Vick ran a 4.33 40. This guy runs a 4.37. Then the 4th round, I thought, was a wonderful draft pick by the Tennessee Titans, was Hassan Haskins, the running back from Michigan, who I think is a big bruiser, just a pounded in there type of runner, just a great guy to put behind King Henry down there. A guy can, spare him a little bit at times. You can put him in the game, a real physical bruiser. So Tennessee, I thought, stole the show as far as I was concerned of any team in the NFL draft this year.
Wow. I got to tell you, I didn't see that one coming. I thought that you'd go with your New York Jets.
Well, I'm getting there.
I'm sure you're going to get there. So that's a team that you really liked. Yes. I'm going to pick a team that I really liked out of this one. And I'm Jets.
Any comments, by the way, on the Titans before we move on?
No comments. We've got no comments so far. I'll tell you that the Jets were a team I really, really liked, but let's save that. We'll talk about that together. Another team that I thought, I'm not sure I would say that I really liked it as much as I thought they really helped to themselves, and that was the Kansas City Chiefs. I think looking at that AFC West and what's going on in the AFC over the last couple of years in the playoffs, they desperately needed help on the defensive side of the ball in Kansas City. I really like the Trent McDuffie. I know that you had his teammate on the other side at corner a little higher rated in our mock drafts, but I thought Trent McDuffie was a nice pickup for them with their first pick. I'm a little wishy-washy, if I'm being honest, on the George Karlaftis pick. I've on your new YouTube, you've been pretty open about how you feel about him as a player. I'm not overly big on him, but I do think that he will help them. I think that this is something that the Chiefs needed, something off the edge, and they got to pray this kid develops. I also thought it was a downright steal in the 2nd round to have Sky Moore sitting there from Western Michigan, he's not nearly as bulky as the cheetah, Tyreek Hill, but he brings similar speed, so that losing all that speed with Tyreek Hill and not being able to replace it, I thought was going to be just a nightmare for the Kansas City Chiefs. And I think that they did their best to do that with Sky Moore. So I thought the first 3 picks with Kansas City, I would give probably a strong A-, B+. I thought they did a nice job. The rest of their draft was filling in some holes. But those 2, that edge rusher corner, they really need help on defense in KC. And I know how you feel about Patrick Mahomes. So they got him another weapon at the wide receiver position. Okay, so you like the Titans. I like the Chiefs. What's another team you thought hit a bit of a home run in this year's draft outside of the Titans?
Well, there was several. I think the Cardinals hit it out of the park in Arizona.
Really?
I think they did exceptionally well. I love the tight end. This in the 2nd round, getting Trey McBride. I mean, this is the next TJ Hawkinson of the NFL. I think Arizona really helped themselves. If they go into a 2 tight end situation with him and Zach Ertz, good luck to any defense covering those 2 guys coming up the seam. I mean,
they almost have to do that now, don't you think, with this DeAndre Hopkins news?
Yeah, it's interesting. They're going to have to switch it up a little bit. And of course, they lost Christian Kirk to Jacksonville in free agency.
Christian Kirk has destroyed the wide receiver market in the NFL forevermore.
Yeah, well, hey, it's like Brian Habib did back in the day, the Minnesota Vikings guard that went to Denver and ruined everything back then. But McBride is a tight end that caught 90 passes at Colorado State, a guy who I personally interviewed for SI Jets. Go check it out when I interviewed him. A really down-to-earth guy, salt-of-the-earth type of guy. Really liked him. And he's a heck of a blocker too. He's a much better blocker than Hawkinson is. So you got a complete tight end coming in there in Arizona second round. Really a steal, I think, because I had mocked going number 11 to Washington, which I think they should have taken. Also, the third round. I mean, can you say wow? I mean, I can spell it for everybody. WOW. Okay. The Arizona Cardinals got two of the best pass rushers in the entire NFL draft in the third round. They got Cameron Thomas, who I loved, and I put a first-round grade on from San Diego State, who's a relentless guy. They called him the Aiden Hutchinson of the Mountain West, and also he's drawn comparisons to J.J. Watt. This guy is a relentless pocket wrecker coming off the edge. He's like the Energizer Bunny. Every single play, he's coming and testing and inside and outside and flipping from left side to right side. And this guy is going to be an absolute headache for offensive tackles. And then they also scored, I mean, if that wasn't enough, they scored another of my first round grades. Maija Sanders, the stud from Cincinnati, the top, their great defense they had out there. This guy reminds me of Dexter Manley. Coming off the edge. I mean, this guy is just a fluid, just a dynamic, aggressive, just a quarterback-minded guy that's just absolutely mean and nasty coming off the edge. And this guy's going to wreak havoc in your division, Stacy. I mean, so when you look at the Arizona Cardinals, I mean, obviously they got some struggles too, and Kyler Murray. That story is not over yet either.
No, I don't think so either.
Oh, no, it's not over at all, which I'm shocked that he's still in Arizona, by the way. These situations don't get better, by the way, like with Kyler Murray and Deebo Samuel. It's like when they're in a relationship, like I talked about on one of my videos, when somebody, is ready to end a relationship and they keep trying to go on and patch it up, it doesn't work. And that's the same thing with Kyler Murray. When these guys scrub their social media, they're done.
Different world, man.
Different world. But getting back to the draft, the Arizona Cardinals, I had first round grades on Trey McBride, Cam Thomas, and Maija Sanders. So they really scored 3 additional first round picks in the second and third rounds of the draft. A+ Arizona Cardinals.
Wow. Okay. So Kyler Murray appears to be a head case unhappy. We got DeAndre Hopkins getting busted for PEDs for 6 games. And then they go, and you already love their draft, but then they add Hollywood Brown via trade from Baltimore.
Not a good pickup at all. That was a real head scratcher for me. Hollywood Brown just about drops about as many as he catches. If you go back, I think last year, I talked about in one of my tweets last week, he had like 91 catches, okay? But he was targeted 46 or 64 times. I forget which it is. But the guy almost drops as many as he catches. I mean, last year, he's one of those guys that just, goes right through his hands. So to give a first round pick for him, I mean, that's Kyle really struck out on that one. But the other picks I liked quite a bit.
Don't you think that was a pacifier for Kyler Murray, his college teammate? The guy that helped him get a Heisman. I mean, come on.
Well, yeah. I mean, logically speaking, yes, it was. But, there's no pacifying that situation. That's a real weird situation. And Kyler Murray, just like Aaron Rodgers the year before, and we won't get into Aaron Rodgers on this episode, but just
we will.
Well, yeah. Well, just like the year before, though, when Aaron Rodgers made the entire offseason about himself. Now Kyler Murray's done that. He's a huge distraction and a source of division in that locker room. The Cardinals situation is looking real strange right now. But a great 3 picks, but the big picture is looking real odd to me.
Yeah, it's definitely weird times in Arizona.
Sure, it breaks your heart.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the NFC West already dominated by the world champion Los Angeles Rams.
By the way, we're not going to talk about them tonight because they didn't have a draft.
They actually had a good draft, but I'm not going to bring them up. I actually thought we had a rock solid draft. I really liked it.
Yeah, but you guys didn't pick until day 7.
It was just about day 7. Yeah, pick 104. It was a long, and then most of our picks were on the back end of in 5, 6, 7. We even traded away our 5th for Troy Hill to Cleveland to bring him home. But very interesting choice on the Cardinals. I'm going to move into familiar territory for you as a writer for Sports Illustrated, and just to fire up some conversation between us here before we move into teams we hated in this draft. I'm going to be honest, I think A++, maybe plus for the New York Jets. I just thought that they went out and they surprised me. They were intelligent. They were calculated. I mean, Sauce Gardner at number 4, Garrett Wilson at number 10. That's a ridiculous draft right there. And then they come out and get a guy you didn't like in Jermaine Johnson, but they follow him up with Breece Hall, a guy you love, and we're comparing to Adrian Peterson at this time last week.
Yeah.
The Jets went bonkers, man. They've got to be a better football team next year.
Yeah, it's interesting. A lot of that's going to hinge on obviously Zach Wilson. He's the liability of that situation. But I mean, it's interesting because probably about 10 days before the draft, I had a chance to go on to the Florida Radio Sports Network and talk about the Jets draft with those guys. It's interesting because they asked me kind of an off question about, if things change, and these guys aren't available, that, the Thibodeaus and the Hutchinsons and, those type of guys, what do you think the Jets would do? And I threw out a name. I said, well, Sauce Gardner. And they kind of looked at me through the radio with cross-eyed, like I have 4 heads or something, like, what? But listen, Sauce Gardner, okay, this is a guy that did not allow a touchdown in his college career. Okay, I'm not talking about like for a season.
That's nuts.
I'm talking about at college as a whole. And he's vowing not to allow one in the NFL. Okay, this is somebody who reminds me a lot of Champ Bailey. Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, and that's who I named my first daughter after, Bailey Hope. Okay. So if that's not the ultimate compliment, like I wrote for SI Jets the other day when I talked about Sauce Gardner, go check out the article. I don't know what could be the ultimate compliment for me as an evaluator, because that's how highly I think of this guy. He has got everything you want in a corner. He will come up. He's got that moxie. He'll come right up in your face at the line of scrimmage. He can play tight man for 5 quarters. Okay. Even though there's only 4 quarters in the game. This is a guy that has great technique, okay? He flips his hips. He uses the sideline wall as a boundary. He maintains good route leverage the whole time. Sauce Gardner looks more like the wide receiver than the actual wide receiver himself most of the time in coverage. He's got an eye always in the backfield. He's always watching. This guy's a bona fide ball hawk. This guy and not only that, but he's got that short area burst where he can just explode. He's got long arms, nice reach, big length. This guy is a menace. This guy is like a shadow. I mean, this guy, I said it for SI Jets. This guy is the best cornerback in the NFL, and he hasn't even stepped on the field yet, okay? The best in the NFL. This is the top cover corner in the National Football League.
I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt. I'm getting a call. Who is it? Oh, Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey would like a word with you from the world champion Los Angeles Rams.
I knew he'd be on. I knew
Sauce.
Hey,
I love Sauce Gardner, dude.
Hey, anybody that comes into the NFL with a nickname of Sauce, is legit. And this guy, I mean, I can't say enough good things about this guy. He's got the speed to go and carry the deep routes. He can carry the crossing routes. He can jump the routes. He can go and take it to the house. I mean, he's everything you'd possibly want. Then switching it up, obviously coming back at number 10. I said in my article, I said before the draft, I said the Jets have to walk away with either Deebo Samuel, DK Metcalf, or Garrett Wilson out of this draft. And they walked away with Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson is my wide receiver 1 who was on my board in this draft. And there's Treylon Burks is number 2, but there's a large gap between Wilson and Burks, okay? Wilson is a baller. This is a bona fide superstar receiver, a guy in the genius, okay? And I'm going to use that word when I talk about Joe Douglas right now. I've been hard on him at times. But the GM of the Jets really stepped up with this because he really showed, and I'm an aspiring general manager, so I want to address this. He really showed his awareness of his roster, and he really showed a acute awareness of his quarterback, Zach Wilson. What do I mean? Okay, he understands what Wilson does well, which is not much, and he understands what Wilson does, what his weaknesses are. Wilson throws the ball well short most of the time. Garrett Wilson can take that bubble screen, and he is very good at yak the yards after the catch.
He's a yak god.
Garrett Wilson, number 2, is a guy who is very crisp at the intermediate route levels at the break point. And check this out. He also has that coveted acceleration and burst coming out of the breaks. He can come right out of the breaks, okay? And so he's going to create larger windows, throwing windows for Zach Wilson, who's sitting back there and unsure what he's going to do with the ball, and he's holding it too long because he doesn't know, okay? Because that's just who he is. And then number 3, you talk about a guy who can quietly get behind a defense. That's Garrett Wilson. This guy can take it to the house. He's a threat every single time he touches the ball. He can also take a handoff. He can take a jet sweep. This guy, I mean, he makes everybody the Jets wide receivers room better because he's going to open things up more for the other receivers on the team too. No, I do not like Jermaine Johnson. 5th round draft choice and for SI lines I put on him. He's an opportunistic hustler who's stiff and it looks vanilla and unimaginative when it comes to pass rushing. He's a guy with no burst, no pass rush moves really, and lacks the speed to bend the edge. Don't like him at all. I mean, you see the Cardinals taking guys like I talk about Cam Thomas and Maija Sanders would have been a way better draft choice. That's a different show. The 2nd round, they come back with Breece Hall, who you alluded to, who I touched on. This changes everything. Breece Hall is going to be the best running back the New York Jets have had since Curtis Martin, okay? This guy, and I was out there when Curtis was there. I was the first person almost I met in the building the first day on the job when I went to the Jets. And Curtis reached up and he shook my hand on the training table. It's Breece Hall, man, is incredible. This is an extremely patient runner who will just chip away, then explode. This guy's got that coveted burst of acceleration like a sports car. When he hits the line of scrimmage and gets into the 2nd level into the linebackers, he's gone. I mean, this guy runs a 70, 80 some plus yards at Iowa State. And not only that, but he's a dual threat back. He can catch the ball. And I don't mean as a safety valve. I mean, this guy can get downfield and catch the ball well. This is going to be one of the best backs in the NFL in the very near future. And what Joe Douglas did by these picks with the Garrett Wilson and also with the Breece Hall is he takes pressure off Zach Wilson. Doesn't have to be the only one back there running around trying to save the day. You know, and he also and Garrett Wilson also clears things that I touched on. Clears things up more for the likes of Braxton Berrios and Braxton can now settle into that slot position. He doesn't have to be more than he is. And Elijah Moore can settle into that number 2 position. It doesn't have to be another number 1 receiver. So everybody can become more.
Corey Davis.
Yeah, exactly.
He's in the room.
Absolutely. Everybody can become more comfortable in their own skin now because of Garrett Wilson being there. New York has a legitimate superstar receiver, a legitimate superstar corner, a legitimate franchise back in the first 2 rounds. That's, I mean, like I said in my article, I'll give Joe Douglas a mulligan on Jermaine Johnson. I mean, they did kill it.
I thought they just killed it. Came back with Ruckert in the 3rd round at tight end.
That's another great pick. I haven't gotten to him yet. And I know a lot of people are real high on him too.
It's just amazing. I love this for another guy that I thought was really not talked about a lot last season, at least not enough. And I thought had a solid year for a rookie, and that's Michael Carter. So, you know, Breece Hall can help carry that load. Yeah, the Jets, I just think the Jets took about 3 steps forward in this draft. I think they really did a nice job.
Yeah, the problem is Buffalo, New England, Miami playing that division.
That's a big one. Yeah, Buffalo's king there right now.
Yeah, and New England's going to be real tough too. I mean, New England's New England, and Miami's obviously making plans to push too. So it's almost like you got to keep up with the Joneses. So will they be better than the last year? More than likely. Let's put it this way: if Mike White was playing quarterback, they may make a wild card. But with Zach Wilson, they're not going to do that.
Okay, so there you go. I'll tell you one dark horse before we move into teams drafts that we hated. I'm sure you have some. I have a couple. I really thought, bizarrely enough, again, consider the context. I thought the Houston Texans did a decent job for all they've gone through.
Interesting. And that was my other team I was going to talk about.
Oh, really? Okay. So like Derek Stingley, I thought was too early. Over Sauce Gardner, that was nuts. Good for Sauce, though. He'll do better in New York. Love Kenyon Green, my favorite guard in the draft. You turned me on to the safety out of Baylor, Jalen Petrie. They took a couple of 2-3 SEC guys right out of the chutes, and John Mechie, Kristen Harris at linebacker, Damian Pierce from Florida, who's a tough guy. I thought that the Texans did a pretty decent little job. I'll put them as a dark horse or a honorable mention on this draft for that franchise.
Yeah, absolutely. This franchise desperately needed help. Of course, them along with the Detroit Lions or the big,
Lions
are they huge head scratchers of the draft in a way? Like I'm scratching my head right now for effects, because I thought Houston, Detroit desperately needed to address the quarterback position, and neither franchise did. I mean, it's. Are you serious? Nick Caserio is going to basically bet his career on the quarterback they have in Houston?
That's an interesting one. I think Lovie Smith is a defensive coach. You do have to wonder. It does, to your point, you brought this up a couple of weeks ago on the show. Next year's quarterback market or draft is a beauty. And
I don't think there's going to be a next year for guys like Caserio and also for Brad Holmes too. I mean, the thing Detroit was odd too. We'll get back to Houston in a second, but Detroit was real strange because they got Jared Goff, who's up and down like a roller coaster, and they have nobody behind Jared Goff. That was weird too, but that's a different day. Getting back to the Houston Texans for a minute, I agree with you, Stacy. I thought that the Stingley pick was they bombed that. I couldn't believe that. I mean, we're talking about a cornerback, that has not had an interception since 2019.
Yeah,
his passes defense have gone down every year from 15 to 5 to 0. His tackles have gone down every year. He's injury prone. He's missed significant time with various injuries.
Yeah.
This is a real suspect pick, especially at 3. I think top 5, top 10, you got to walk away with a franchise player. And the Texans failed to do that. That's why I was a little bit down on them for a minute. But then, like you mentioned, they come back with 3 guys that I had first-round grades on. And, of course, oddly enough, Caserio comes from New England, and that's my roots too with Belichick, just like the Titans. And they take 3 of my favorite guys. They take Kenyon Green, the guy that we both love, the nastiest guard that's come into the National Football League since Quentin Nelson with Indianapolis. They followed up with Jalen Petrie, who's my early pick for Defensive Rookie of the Year out of Baylor. This guy is an all-world safety, linebacker, and corner rolled into one. He's all over the football field. Early in the second round, I had a first-round grade on him. And, of course, Christian Harris, who I thought Dallas was going to take. Instead, Houston gets him. He stays in Texas at least, so I wasn't too far off. But Christian Harris, I couldn't believe he fell. This is another guy that fits this new like prototype middle linebacker in the NFL. These guys that are good in coverage and they can also get to the quarterback. This isn't our dad's NFL anymore, where we just have big run stuffing, big guys in the middle that can't move or can't run and can't move. All they do is stop the run. This is a different NFL, where guys like that JOK guy, the guy in Cleveland last year, you're starting to see this guy, the Nakobe Dean, which we'll get to, who I think is one of the greatest steals of the draft. We'll talk about another show. But these middle linebackers that can cover the pass and they can also get to the quarterback, like Christian Harris has shown he can do too. So I thought that those 3 picks for the Texans were great.
Yeah, we're on the same page. So we've kind of taken a look at some teams that we liked, that we think made some solid steps forward as franchises. Just in the interest of time, I'm going to switch gears here as we're a little more limited on the back end of the show. I have got to talk about, I guess in the interest of time, we should each pick one. A team that I just thought completely bombed out like the Hindenburg on fire. And I continued tonight, days later, to be going, what the hell were they thinking? Like, I can't figure it out. And I'm going to give you mine first.
Okay, go ahead.
Mine is the Green Bay Packers. Year after year, the last few years, I sit there going, what? Like, listen, Devontae Wyatt saved this from being an F for me. I think he's a good football player.
Devontae Wyatt's a pocket record. I love him.
Great football player. But to your point, you said on this show last week, the worst player you watched on film was Key Walker, the linebacker from Georgia. Then they come back, and I'm picturing Aaron Rodgers, who was on the Pat McAfee show, going, it's okay, I kind of knew it. But you could sense, they still don't go out and get him one of these stud receivers. They settle on Christian Watson, North Dakota State, who I know you're in love with. And then you look at the rest of their draft and you just literally come away going, what did I just watch? Like Green Bay, again, just seems to lay a turd the last 2 or 3 years. And whether you love or hate number 12, the guy's one of the most gifted quarterbacks to ever play this game. And they did nothing for him again, after losing Devontae Adams. What say you, Scout Kelly, on the Green Bay Packers?
Well, you're a little harder on them than I am.
Okay. That's a change.
That's the first time it's happened.
Wait, they traded for Trey Lance. No.
No. Yeah, they're going to run the trade package in Green Bay. Ha.
Oh, my
LOL. God. No, it's, I agree with you about the first round pick. I mean, Quay Walker looks lost on the football field. I mean, I wrote him up for SI Lions. He looks lost. I know you and I have talked about him off air. It lacks instincts. He's a very hesitant football player, which makes him arrive not in time. He sometimes goes the wrong direction. This guy is nothing. He's a zero as a blitzer. He's just, I mean, they showed a picture, and this is unfortunately the NFL we live in, where these scouts live and die by height, weight, speed, and measurements. They showed a picture of Quay Walker standing next to Nakobe Dean. Any Georgia fan in the world will tell you Nakobe Dean was the baller on that defense. And because Quay Walker has more measurables, blah, 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 and Nakobe Dean's 6 foot. Listen, Nakobe Dean's going to be like the next Ray Lewis, okay? Philadelphia stole him. I talked about that today. This guy's extremely instinctual. He's all over the field, and he can get to the quarterback. Maybe the best pass rusher in the 2022 NFL draft, okay? Instead, the Packers take Quay Walker, who's just – yeah, he was the worst player I've evaluated for the 2022 NFL draft. And then they come back with Christian Watson, who looks like he runs, everyone's like, oh, he runs a 4.38 at the combine. Listen, folks, go turn on any game film you can find on YouTube from 2021 NDSU. The guy looks like he runs a 4.65 in the short to intermediate route level. They gave him a handoff or a jet sweep. He couldn't even hit the edge against glorified high school corners and safeties and linebackers in that conference that he plays in North Dakota. These guys won't even sniff an NFL locker room, and he came and outrun him in a foot race, okay? What's he going to be in the NFL? They're going to blow him sky high at the edge is what's going to happen when he takes a jet sweep. And not only that, but Christian Watson labors in and out of the break points and the intermediate route levels. He provides a very limited throwing window. I can't believe that they would take Christian Watson, like your point, to go from Devontae Adams to Christian Watson. It's like going from a Ferrari to a car with 3 wheels. Okay, it's awful. I'll just say that this is the most overrated player in the draft, Christian Watson. Okay, and I'm sure his family members will comment on that like they have been on my Twitter. But anyways.
I'm sure he's not a bad guy, but he's
again, this is not personal.
Being picked
this
there?
is not personal. Like, this guy's a 4th to 7th round pick, like I said, for SI 49ers and also SI Lions. This guy's a 4th to 7th, a developmental. I mean, it's just not the guy you needed for Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers, to your point. However, there's like the old saying, there's good news and bad news. Which do you want first? Okay, well, we gave the bad news first. Okay, Devontae Wyatt, you touched on. It reminds me of Warren Sapp in some ways, okay? This guy is a pocket wrecker every single play. I mean, Trayvon Walker could be mentored by Devontae Wyatt, okay? Devontae Wyatt's the most dominant defensive lineman that come out in the 2022 NFL draft class out of Georgia by far. It's an embarrassment that Trayvon Walker was drafted first, but we're not getting into that right now. Devontae Wyatt's legit, okay? He's going to be a Pro Bowl player. The guy I liked, who I think Aaron Rodgers might turn out to be pleasantly surprised by, is a guy who I wrote up for SI Lions pre-draft and even said that this guy looks like the next James Lofton, and that's Romeo Doubs. I know you and I have talked about him before. I was going to
ask you more, yeah.
Yeah, out in Nevada. This was Carson Strong's, receiver out in Nevada. Of course, Carson Strong, I had as rated as a first-round pick going number 12 over to Minnesota. They're already talking today at NJNewJersey.com that there's a strong chance that no pun intended, Carson Strong may be Jalen Hurts' backup this year already. They're that high on him. I guess there was just more of a concern about the knee than most people thought, or I thought. But anyways, Romeo Doubs is another guy that I think is going to play really well for them. So, it's you win some, you lose some. The Quay Walker and Christian Watson thing is going to be a disaster, but they reprieved with the Devontae Wyatt and Romeo Doubs in my mind.
God. Okay. All right, man. I thought that their draft just absolutely stunk. I did forget about Dobbs, so I'm curious to see if they give Rodgers.
But they didn't give him the help he needed for sure.
No,
they needed to go up and get, they needed to get a guy like Treylon Burks. Where was Quay Walker taken? Do you have a pick on him? Which number pick he was?
Quay Walker was taken. He was the 22nd pick in the first round. He was the 22nd best player according to the Packers. Number 22. You don't even want to know the names of the guys that came behind him. Like, you're literally, when they did it, I just sat there going, you've got to be kidding me.
Well, who's another receiver that came after him in the first round? Were there any?
Oh, boy, there was other receivers. One that I like that I would have taken a flyer on in Green Bay is George Pickens out of Georgia.
By far, yeah.
He was in the second. He was picked 52nd in the second round.
Yeah, Pickens would have been a good pick for them, no pun intended.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember all the picks, what order they went in. And also, there's no reason in the world why Green Bay could have made a play to move up to take Treylon Burks instead of Tennessee getting him. Treylon Burks would have been a great receiver in Green Bay. So, yeah, they dropped the ball there.
Yeah, I just can't figure it out what Matt LaFleur's doing, or if he has any say in it. I just feel like Green Bay wants. I just can't believe it. You're in. Look at what Tampa did with Tom Brady. They made sure to surround him with every stud he wanted, from Gronkowski, his buddy in New England, to Mike Evans, to Godwin. I mean, they made sure they had a run for him in his final years. And you look at Green Bay, and you're just going, what's their deal with Aaron Rodgers? Like, they just won't give him anybody.
It's weird. I tell you what, they better pick up the phone and speed dial Jarvis Landry and get him in there, because
how did they not go after AJ Brown, who apparently was available for trade? How did they not go after Robert Woods? Robert Woods was apparently available for trade out of Los Angeles. Like, they just don't do anything that makes a bit of sense to me. For a guy, when you've got an all-world quarterback, it's fine that they drafted on defense. I like the defensive guy, Devontae Wyatt, but again, they were players sitting there at number 22 that would have just given Aaron Rodgers an instant weapon on the outside. Nothing. Crickets, man. Let's pick Quay Walker, a linebacker with you said was the worst you watched. There was plenty of other good linebackers still on the board in the second round. It's bonkers in Green Bay, man. Okay, we're running short on time. Give me a team you hated, and then I just want to ask a couple of other quick picks as we close out. Who was a team that you just went, what is going on?
Absolutely. I think the New Orleans Saints just bombed it.
Yeah.
Awful. Awful.
I thought you were going to give me the Steelers. I thought you were going to say
that was my second pick. That was my second
They're on
pick.
my list too. Like, the Steelers were like, what?
Kenny Pickett's a bust, man. Cisco and Ebert, 2 thumbs down. I did like the Pickens pick in Pittsburgh. I also like Connor Hayward a lot, the tight end from Craig Ironhead's son that won the 4th round. I think is a real nice pick for them, but Pickett's a bust. I give him a 5th to 7th round grade. But the Saints, who that's going to beat the Saints? I tell you what, a lot of people are going to beat them because they go with the Chris Olave, who I think is an absolute bust. It's a bust, dude. He's a bust. This guy, this is a receiver that's the most easily rerouted receiver I've seen in 40 years. I mean, they just push him around as the corners push him around. That's going to kill the timing routes in New Orleans. And then they come back with the Trevor Penning, who's got a light anchor.
That's right.
He can be put on skates and push right back to the quarterback's face. He doesn't have the lateral foot speed to protect the back door of the pocket. They go from the guy they lost to Miami, Was it Armstead? Teron Armstead.
Yeah.
They go from him to Penning is like going from a suite at a resort down to the down to a motel hasn't changed the sheets in 3 weeks. I mean, it's that's awful, dude. That's awful. I mean, Penning is awful,
That's
dude.
Dirty.
It's dirty. That's even dirty for the dirty pocket. But we don't need to go any further with that.
That is great.
But I mean, those are two awful picks. I mean, I thought, for Dennis Allen, who's a defensive minded coach, they go with two just awful offensive players. That's not going to bode too well for the Houdat, the New Orleans Saints.
And then a plethora of really nice young safeties available, and they go out and chase the Honey Badger down in New Orleans. I feel like
a guy who I gave an F to in the Super Bowl against Tampa Bay, who basically just threw his helmet and just took his ball and went home. Just a spoiled sport out there. I wouldn't have touched him. I would play with 10 men on defense before I play with him as my safety. It just always coming home and all this nonsense. I tell you what, season tickets holder to New Orleans Saints, save your money. This team is a joke.
I feel like Sean Payton knew there were dark times coming, and he decided, I think me and Drew were going to exit stage left. Yeah, I think the Saints fans are in for some dark times.
They're going back, like when we were a little bit younger. They're going back to the 80s where they had paper sacks over their faces for the games.
The good old Aints. Aints for you youngsters. For you youngsters.
Yeah, Google Aints.
Give me, we could probably talk about picks we didn't like all night, but do you have a pick anywhere on any team that you just loved? You just thought, awesome, I love this. Maybe you gave it away with the Titans. But was there a pick you just went, damn, that's a great pick. I love it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to go back to Nakobe Dean. I think this is besides Malik Willis, I think this is the second biggest steal of the draft. Nakobe Dean is incredible. I mean, this is a guy that can drop in the coverage. He's got a good nose for the ball. I mean, this guy can roam sideline to sideline. He's got a great range. Showed he can stay tight in coverage. Can carry running backs into the flat. Can carry vertical routes. Almost like a safety. I mean, this guy runs. I mean, it's the best inside linebacker pass coverage linebacker I've seen in 40 years. And the guy just can explode into the pocket. I mean, this is not just somebody that can run in there and get a little bit of pressure. We're talking about a torpedo into the quarterback's face. I mean, this is a legitimate, perennial Pro Bowl player. Now, granted, if you block him on the run game, you can stop him a little bit. He's got a little bit of trouble disengaging. If you block him at the line of scrimmage when he's blitzing, you can stop him. But they did the same thing to Ray Lewis. Ray Lewis had to be kept clean in order to make the plays that he made. So if Philadelphia can figure out a way to keep Nakobe Dean clean and let him freelance and let him run around out there, he'll be the best linebacker in the NFC East.
Yeah, I got to tell you, that's a good one. I thought that was a steal, too. Like, you got to be kidding me. I thought Philadelphia actually had a pretty nice little draft.
Well, besides Jordan Davis.
Yeah, Jordan Davis, plus getting A.J. Brown.
I mean, besides him, Jordan Davis is a bust. I mean,
you weren't big on him.
He's an underachiever. He's a lazy guy that basically can't, he's too big. He can't move fast. I mean, if there's no chance he's making a run stop outside of his gaps. I mean, everyone talks about the 40-yard dash that Jordan Davis ran. This guy won't run 40 yards to and from the huddle in the entire game.
Oh, my God. Maybe they're trying to free up Fletcher Cox a little bit inside there. I don't know. That's a weird pick. There was some night. Nakobe Dean was a steal. I agree.
Yeah.
My favorite pick in this draft, I guess I'll say that, came right after the Packers just pooped the bed with the key pick. I was like, what? At 22. My favorite pick came at number 23 to the Buffalo Bills, where they picked a guy I just really liked in Kaiir Elam. I know you loved him too.
Loved him.
I thought, is there a team that just gets where they're at? I mean, they needed somebody on the other side of Tre'Davious White at corner. They went out and got a long, athletic kid that's just going to grow into the position in an AFC that's become a fireworks show. And I just felt like it was another reason I just sat there looking at the Packers the pick before going, You think instead of Key, they might have wanted to go corner in the NFC when they got to play the Buccaneers and Rams in the playoffs? It's just bizarre, but absolutely love what the Bills did there with Kaiir Elam, who I think is going to be a star.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, at pick 23. Well, folks, that's it. I mean, we could talk for hours. You know how we are, and the Scout spent so many hours. I think you told me at one point you were 29 hours in deep, and I was like, dude, I'm just going to leave you alone. You want me to slide food under the door? What do you want?
Like Joe Gibbs.
Yeah.
Hey, the NFL draft, 6 months, possibly 7 days a week, 15 hours a day. And
Wow.
Here we are. I mean, podcasts like we're doing, articles, radio shows, you name it. I love it. I love every single second of it. But yeah, it's all you could ask Samantha, my wife. It's all encompassing. It's just like we're sitting at dinner, a romantic dinner. She's like, honey, can we please not talk about N'Kobe Dean over dinner?
Totally out of it. I got to tell you, very excited. We're about to close out this podcast, but it's always nice to get, especially as we've just started this. So we love watchers. We did get a comment, Scout, from our very own MTO, who is now becoming
MTO.
a regular. MTO has brought us, maybe as we close out tonight, he also made the comment just moments ago that Alvin Kamara is likely going to miss half the year in New Orleans. I couldn't agree more, unless his career is over and he's in prison. But this thing with the Jags as we close, unfortunately, MTO, we're almost wrapped up. But some comments there, Scout, as you look at what becoming the loyal, regular MTO 2089 has to say. I agree. The Jags, I thought, just flamed out and helped every other team in the NFL by taking Treylon Walker at number 1. I'm sure the Giants did a backflip. The Jets were dancing. The Lions were dancing. Like, did they just do that? Totally agree. If you're just joining MTO, we both really like the Jets draft. But Scout is
A+ for the Jets. MTO. Hey, what's up? Thank you so much for your comment tonight. And yeah, the Jaguars did not really help themselves at all. I mean, with the Trayvon Walker, I mean, for SI Jets, I wrote him up. If you want to take a look at that, as a second-round defensive tackle. Trayvon Walker, I screamed it from the rooftops, does not have the speed or the pass rush moves to bend the edge in the National Football League. This is not an edge rusher. This is a defensive tackle who can shoot the gaps inside against guards. Obviously, guards way less, not as good pass protectors as the left tackles are in the NFL. We all know that. So yeah, the Trayvon Walker thing was a disaster. I mean, it just shows. It just shows. You know, it's a political league. The Trayvon Walker was a total political pick, and it was just surprising. And they really didn't do a lot, to your point. With the second part of your question there, taking 2 linebackers or signing the Falcons linebacker, big money too. What are they doing? They're really not doing anything. It's another bizarre thing, like you talked about, Stacy, with the Aaron Rodgers and Green Bay situation. Jacksonville really didn't do anything to help Trevor Lawrence whatsoever. It's just, it's a really strange deal. It really is. I didn't understand it at all.
Yeah, it's a good point, MTO. I agree with you. The thing is that if you're not going to take Aiden Hutchins at number 1, I would have rather they took one of the big stud tackles and protected Trevor Lawrence. You know, take Evan Neal too. But what a weird pick. The whole thing, from that moment on, I went, this is going to be a weird ass draft. I just knew it was going to be weird, and there was trades in Hollywood. Brown's being moved and AJ Brown's being moved. And it's like, whoa, this thing got weird fast, but some teams got better because the Jags are dumb. It's mind blowing.
It really, truly is. It's they're not going forward as an organization at all.
No. Hey, MTO, thanks, man. We're just starting this thing, and we appreciate you popping in and saying
Thank you. Please come back again. We like having you on the show.
Yeah, so as we close out this week, Scout, you can follow the Scout on Sports Illustrated Lions, Sports Illustrated Jets. But Scout, give us your YouTube channel again. Brand new, folks.
Brand new, about 10 days old. It's titled Former NFL Scout Daniel Kelly. Go check it out and become a subscriber, please. I'm just getting that thing launched, put the ball in the tee 10 days ago, and, gotten quite a bit of feedback so far.
Yeah, some good, some bad. To that point, hey, folks, if you're watching the Scout, on his new YouTube channel and you want to talk to him, you want to send him questions, you want to tell him how devilishly handsome he is, or maybe you want to tell him some of the stuff that gets bleeped out on Twitter, come to the Dirty Pocket Wednesday nights. Send him a question. Let's interact. That's what this is about.
Hey, my last tweet yesterday I sent out about Trey Lance got 364,000 views so far. So there's got to be a few people on that bandwagon for Trey Lance that want to come on the Dirty Pocket and talk to us and
come talk.
Wish me a happy late Valentine's Day or something.
Hug it out, man. Come see us. Let's get a hug.
That's right.
No, thanks to the Scouts new YouTube. Go check that out. You can find us online at the Dirty Pocket Pod on Instagram, at Dirty Pocket Pod on Twitter. Like, subscribe, follow us on Twitch. We're just getting started with this. We really appreciate anybody who's watching or comments or watches us on YouTube.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
As well as Twitch. So thank you, folks. Scout, any parting words as we close this week?
Yeah. In fact, I do.
Oh, boy.
Just as I predicted, Jimmy Garoppolo is still in San Francisco. John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are all talk. This is a big sales job of what's happening out there. And I'm not so sure about, everything they've talked about out there either about Jimmy G. But one thing I do know is when I go to, and this really threw 49ers fans for a loop, when I screenshotted the 49ers.com depth chart, and guess who the starter is? It's Jimmy G. And so all this someday over the rainbow, all this talk about, Trey's our guy someday. And yeah, he can start someday. And yeah, I think he's going to do this someday. And all this verbiage that Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch use, that's a variable language and maybe and possibly and someday and all this kind of stuff. The reality is Jimmy G is still the starting quarterback of the San Francisco 49ers. Just as I predicted. Actions speak louder than words. Say it with me, San Francisco Nation. Actions speak louder than words. Jimmy G is your starter in 2022.
Okay, folks, there you go. And I got a call halfway in there. Some guy named Debo. He said, "Thanks, Scout." No idea what he's looking for there.
No idea. Debo, okay, did he give a last name? Did he give a last name, the caller?
He did not. Did not get a last name. Just said it's Debo. Is odd. My parting shot as we close this week, folks, is thank you for watching, like, subscribe, and the Los Angeles Rams are still your world champions. We will see you next week here on the Dirty Pocket.
We're trying to get people to watch a show and not just throw their computers out or their screens out the window.
Can't do it. Legends wear horns. We'll see you later, folks. See you next week.
See you later. Take care.